Good morning.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I am at my standing desk.
Me too.
Yay.
So I know you and I talked about this, and so we had a friend talk about standing desks have been around for a very long time. But in the more popular world of today, they have so you have a full standing desk. I have what they call a standing desk converter. So mine goes on top of my desk, and then I can just lift it up and put it down if I want to sit at my desk or whatever the case may be. And I have to admit, I kind of I want to say rebelled against it, but I was kind of anti-standing desk for a while. I was like, I'm fine, I'm sitting, I'm good. And then I just felt like I needed to kind of move around while I was doing different things. And I guess I didn't feel that it was going to be very secure when I was typing or using the mouse. I thought it was going to be kind of flimsy. So I'm like, okay, I dove in. I kind of got the link. I ignored it for like 2 months. I got the link again, bought it, figured I can return it if I don't like it, used it once, loved it.
Yeah. And it was interesting because I bought this one. We're in our studio. I bought this one not to use as a standing desk, right? We bought it so we could use it for, videos and stuff, and we'd have stools, and it just feels different when you're recording, whether you're standing or you're sitting in a high stool. So I didn't expect to use it. Right. And then you said you liked it, and I still, again, like you, didn't believe it. I was like, ooh, who would want to stand and work? Doesn't make sense to me because I grew up in corporate America where you had desks, even though I traveled most of the time. Anyway, so I put it together just so that we could get it for video, and stood at it, and I realized that I enjoy it more than sitting, as long as you you figure out your pace, right? So we talked about this yesterday. I like walking in the morning and telling myself, I'm going to stand at my desk from 9 or 7 or whenever I get here till 1. That's my time. And if I want to stand all day, cool. But if I want to, I reverse, because a lot of people do it the other way, right? And you'll talk about
I'm the other way.
But I like in the morning because I am the most productive from the time I wake up till about 3. And then I get very tired because I do a lot. And so I would like to sit in the afternoon when my energy goes down, and I take advantage of all the energy I have in the morning. You are the opposite.
I am the opposite. So for me, I'm good in the morning. I'm the same way, more productive. So I'm sitting sort of more up straight in my desk, and I'm ready to go, and I'm doing different things and stuff like that. But by I start to curve by like lunch hour, and I'm sitting like this, and, clump something. So for me, that afternoon is when I use it. I'm standing right now, but I will be sitting after this, because I realized that, I do enjoy doing video standing up. I've always liked that. So that's another reason why I like the desk. But for me, the afternoon is when I get tired in the same way. But my philosophy is slightly different in a sense that, I want to stand. I feel like I've been sitting, and it gives me an opportunity to move and stretch and all of that kind of stuff. So for me, it works. Same philosophy, but my afternoon is where I want to stand and move, because I feel like my body's needs.
Yeah, that. And everybody's different, and it depends on your schedule. And I think, but I do, my daughter was over, and I said to her, well, just go stand at the desk and see what you think. And then she even said the same thing. She really liked it. So it's surprising, because most of you are watching are going to feel the same way, or listening are the same way as us, which is you're going to say, I wouldn't want to stand all day, because that's your natural, it's your first inclination. It's the first thing out of your mouth. And, so.
And we were the same way.
Yeah, we were exactly the same way. And I'm not.
I was anti-standing desk for a long time.
And I don't. So I want to, I want to be clear on when I say, in the afternoon, I kind of get tired and stuff. I start very early. You guys know I'm up very, very early, 5 o'clock in the morning. And I've done a full day before most of you guys get to your desks. It's not by choice. It's because
your 3 o'clock is like most people's 6 or 7.
Exactly.
Right? So your day is just shifted.
Totally shifted. And why I wanted to bring that up is not for any other reason other to tell everyone who's listening that you have to give yourself permission to understand that you are allowed to stop at a certain point during the day. So for a long time, I rifled through from 5 a.m. right through to 11 at night. And I was on total full energy, go, 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 no matter how tired I was for most 12 years, I guess. I was doing it. It's only been in the last year that I've recognized that I can't do that anymore. And so at 3 o'clock, I do what I call is just like busy work, right? I just do stuff that doesn't include my brain. So the only reason I wanted to say that is for you guys to give yourself permission. You don't have to keep going. You can actually go, okay, how can I, use this tool or any other one? But yeah, we love these, and highly recommend to anyone, especially if you watch a lot of videos or stuff during the day, like for work, which we do. It's so much better if you're standing up, because you can, like yesterday I was doing squats. I was trying to figure out what to do as I was watching a video. I had to watch it. I knew it was an hour. So I was just like, okay, let me get my little 8-pound weights.
Well, it's true. You can multitask better. I mean, as everyone knows, I do a lot of podcast production and getting shows ready. So I have to listen. If it's really specific work that I need to, type and pay attention, I need to be sitting, but I'm listening. Yeah. And a lot of times I just need to make sure that everything's okay. So I do need to listen. I can do other things, but yeah, I feel like I can move. You're right. I was doing stretches yesterday.
It's so weird because when you're sitting, you don't really think about that, but then you stand up and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I should be doing something. And you stand straighter. Like you can, one of the things that I always taught when I was teaching yoga was to, if you can tell, my hands are clasped behind my back. And I always tell people who had rounded shoulders and they were pain, I would say, clasp your hands behind your back and walk around like that all day. Like if you can just do that as a habit, you'll find you're stretching back your shoulders and you're starting to feel better.
And that's what I was doing, because I remember you teaching me that. And that's so, you can tell, but that's what I started doing. I was standing here and I went, oh, this actually feels like it's a really good stretch and stuff like that. Because I remember I think it was the very first time you taught your speakeasy that I attended. I don't know if that was the first time you taught it ever, but which was a million years ago, because I've attended it every time you ran it, which is a lot. And that was one of the first things that you taught us was stand up straight, shoulders down. And if you need to, put your arms behind your back and walk around your house. So I would do this. And my kids are like, what are you doing?
But you just, like, if anyone's listening or watching, just stand up right now and do it. Like clasp your hands behind your butt, right? And your shoulders will naturally come back and you just feel so good. All that roundedness of sitting at the desk stops. That's if for those of you who've never done yoga, that's what yoga feels like. It's subtle little things. It's a tiny little movement that you go, oh, does that ever feel good? It's like when you're getting a massage, right? And they just hit that right spot and you're like, oh, and you start to melt. You can do that on your own. Yoga is like giving yourself a massage. As long as you're not doing power yoga, that's a different story, which I love. There's nothing wrong with it. Loved it more when I was younger. And but it's very cool. And it gets your brain functioning better, right? Because you're focused and you're comfortable and you're not stressed. So anyway.
Yeah, I find that, again, it's just that, like, I was having a conversation with my son last night because he's doing a lot of workouts and stuff like that. And we started talking about the benefits of sort of that warm up. And that's kind of how I feel. It gets your blood moving. It gets your brain working. That's why they say, like, move in the morning is always the best. And that's how I feel now when I'm there. It's like, okay, my blood's moving, my brain's working. It's all good. So yeah, big advocate now of the standing desk. Much better benefits than I thought, because I just was thinking ergonomics.
Yeah.
And like looking down, looking up, and shoulders, but I didn't it's all the extra stuff that I didn't expect.
Yeah. So there you go. We don't have a link for you. So
no, I don't. But Google them.
So what I just if you want to know what we buy, I mean, again, Stacy bought one that you put on your desk and lifts up, which is cool. And I was looking for a standing desk, and a lot of them are electronic and they're very expensive. So most of you will go, I don't want to, I can't afford $800 for a desk. So I went on Amazon and I got this one that is crank. So you crank it up and down, which, as you know, for all of you guys, before everything was electronic, will last forever.
It's like the window. It's like the window in the car. The crank never died.
Never died. So, but it was only $300 300 Canadian on Amazon. So, really inexpensive when you think about it. Given that the cheapest one we could find that was electronic was like $500
or something. Yeah, exactly.
And it's probably going to eventually break on you.
Oh, yeah, and mine's hydraulic, so same thing. So they're amazing. So to switch gears slightly, there was a thing that happened yesterday on the internet. I just need to bring it up. There was a huge debate on the internet yesterday, and if you Google or you search, if you search on Twitter or you search on TikTok, I don't know if it hit Instagram as much or Facebook, but definitely on Twitter and definitely on TikTok, was the debate, are there more wheels or doors in the world?
Right.
And it was fascinating, the in-depth conversations, the huge debates that were happening with people, and how people were getting ridiculously passionate about the fact that what they believe. So were you team wheels or were you team doors? And I hadn't heard of it. So my son came home and he goes, have you heard about what broke the internet? I'm like, right. Okay, well, nothing broke the internet.
No, because it didn't break on my screen.
It didn't break, but it was very popular. So in his world, in TikTok, everybody, I put that in quotations, was talking about it. So then I head over to Twitter and I was just fascinated by the intensity and passion in which people were so focused on their side when there's absolutely. And then I saw one guy do the math and he proved the math. And I'm like, okay, well, that's just,
there's no proof.
There's no proof. It was his own math. It was only his numbers. Like, where did they come from?
Because there really isn't anything more important going on in the world.
Well, I thought it was so interesting that we have all these stuff.
I know. I just think it's funny that the world stopped because of this. So what did you decide?
So I was team doors. I felt that, if I looked around my house, I saw doors everywhere. I saw doors in my house. I saw cupboard doors. I saw doors. Cars also have doors. I understand there's a lot of people different machineries have multiple wheels. So it was interesting. People were looking at Hot Wheel cars and how many of those were in the world. And so everybody that I have, sorry.
And Barbie playhouses, they have doors.
And they have wheels.
That's right.
So everybody that I talked to was team doors. I would be very interested in seeing the statistics around age and gender demographics around the answer. Because everyone that I talked to was doors. Everyone my son talked to was wheels.
Right, so, because they don't have a sense of history. So they don't know how many, how long people have been building homes way before they built wheels. Even the cavemen had little doors on there. Well, the
cavemen did invent the wheel, but I think
but there was one wheel versus how many people had homes with right? So I think doors wins. But you're right, the younger, I'll say wheels, which is sort of funny to me because they would naturally think of the coolest for them. Doors are boring, wheels are fun.
Yeah, and everybody, of course, that I know would be similar to my age. So they were saying doors. Everybody that my son was asking similar to his age was saying wheels. So that's why I said I'd love to see a sort of a demographic chart of who was saying what. It was because he would pull up and he was, well, this poll, 58% said wheels. And I'm like, well, in this poll, 50% said doors. So
exactly.
It was interesting.
Well, mine was a little different. I wasn't worried about doors and wheels, but as you guys know, I get to vent here once in a while. So I'm venting again because once again, our personal care worker didn't show up. And it fascinates me that they think it's okay to leave somebody who can't eat or walk alone and not call and say they're not showing up.
Fascinating.
So, I just wanted to put it out there. The reason I always say it is because there's so many people in the same situation as me, and you're afraid to say things out loud because of health. But you know what? Care partners, shame on you. You did it again. I'll cause a stink. But what happens is it creates a lot of stress for the people at home, right? So I was very stressed, as you know. I texted you. I was very stressed. If I had taken my blood pressure, it probably would have went off the charts. I haven't felt that bad in a long time because I don't like being taken advantage of, and I don't like people who just won't do their job properly. Like, you have a job, do it. You could have picked up the phone and said, sorry, we don't have help or something, but no, right? So anyway, so I was really stressed, and I was supposed to do all this work last night, and I needed to calm down. So what did I do? I watched The Bachelor.
A train wreck.
Yeah, if you want to watch a train wreck and you want to get your mind off all of your problems, just watch something so ridiculous. So
I came upstairs last night at once it was over around 10 o'clock, and my husband was like, you were yelling at the TV a little too much.
Yeah, it's true. Okay. Well, it's interesting because, for those of you, most of you don't watch it probably, but this guy, we've never liked this guy on, Stacy and I watch it because, I like to tell people because they don't understand, because they're like, oh, you guys are so smart. You have all this stuff and then you watch The Bachelor. That is what you need. You need something that will just completely get your mind shut down when you're working hard all day with your brain, right? So that's why we watch it. But it was such a boring season, and we didn't really like the guy, but went to disgust right last night. He became the villain. The Bachelor became the villain, which is fascinating to me because we just finished watching Love Is Blind, which was another villain. And I sit there and I go, these people sign up, they want to be on TV, they want a little bit of fame. We all agree on that. But man, do you go in there you don't realize what an idiot you're going to look like.
I hope he regrets some of the things, just like in Love Is Blind. I hope that they realize and look back and go, wow, I really was really gross and disgusting and said some really bad things. But what was interesting, again, always fascinating, is to go to Twitter.
Yes.
And the comments and stuff that people were making. We watch it. We know I watch it because it's like a train wreck. I can't pull myself away. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so
not reality.
Yes.
Which is why I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
but there are people who are angry.
Angry
at some of the things that he said. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. So
yeah, but it's kind of we always just find something. If you really work hard all day and you use your brain, for some people, they go for a run or they do something. For us, we like to just not think about anything but the train wreck.
And it's not reality. It couldn't be further from reality if you tried. No. And it does. It's a brain break. That's literally, it doesn't break my brain. It just gives my brain a complete.
Although last night it might have broke my brain.
True.
But it kind of parlays into what we always talk about. We always say, be authentic, be yourself, get on video, but understand that the camera is rolling. So regardless of, when you're, be yourself. But if you're a jerk, don't get on camera, or don't say things don't get on camera in the heated moment. You could tell he was angry. He came off as so horrible, almost abusive, right? I think if I had seen somebody do that to my daughter, what he said, I would have said that, he abused her, because it was that bad. I thought
it was bad. Yeah. And you know what, though? Huge respect for her.
Yeah, totally. She was great.
Huge respect for her. So good for her for standing up for what she believed, and not allowing the show and the potential fame of that and winning to get in the way of what her belief system was. So good for her. She made the decision.
Part was the awful part and the abusive part was he turned it around and tried to make it look like she was the villain. And that was the part
that was disgusting. I came up and probably went off a little bit too much. But again, to me, it made him look bad. It made her look better. Good for her. She didn't fall into that same trap that unfortunately I think a lot of people do. They get caught up in the show and they kind of put aside what they believe and stuff like that. So good for her. So I have much more respect for her today.
But that's why we are always, when we coach, like we have an entire video success formula that we coach many of our clients on with one-day masterminds, or it's part of our GIA program. But we're very focused on, yes, being you, but being a polished you and understanding what you look like, right, on camera. Because a lot of times on these shows, after the fact, they go, it's bad editing. No, it's not, because you said what you're saying, right?
Right, and it is recorded.
Yeah, so be cognizant of what you say. Like Hot Topics, we, say what we want to say, but we're also cognizant if we say something that's somebody disagrees with, it's okay. We're accepting of it, but we would never be abusive, or we would never be trying to hurt anyone by saying we're giving you our opinions, but we're not going to go to the extent of we understand what we look like. Let's put it that way. We understand what we look like online, and we're going to stick with it. And we want to make sure that our clients who go through our program understand they are cognizant of what they're doing. And I think that's where what happens with reality TV or fake reality TV is the cameras are always there, so people forget about them. And so they decide to just say whatever they want, which is true. But if a camera was there, you wouldn't say that, right? If you knew.
Well, that's the interesting thing. And of course, as soon as you say something, whether it's on camera, whether it's on a video, a podcast, whatever it is that you're recording on, it's out there forever, potentially, especially social media. Things don't die. I mean, people have said things on social media, and that goes in, we kind of forget that there's a screen there. We forget that the camera's rolling.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing in some cases, because sometimes your true self can come through, but you do have to, and part of being camera ready is not just making yourself look pretty.
No.
It's preparing what you're going to say, thinking about what you're going to say, and getting used to making sure that you give your opinion.
Right.
But also, and you want to be real. I believe that. You want to be authentic. Absolutely. If you met us on the street, this is how we are. This is how we talk. We can talk Bachelor all day.
Yeah.
But if your real self is to be mean or hurtful or anything like that, then when the cameras are always rolling and you forget about them, then your true self shines through.
Right.
But that's part of, how do you want to be portrayed? How do you want people to get to know you? And we really saw his true side that has been very, very sheltered and everything throughout the season. So very interesting.
Yeah, kind of scary. But that's the beauty of, if you guys are thinking about doing a podcast or a YouTube or whatever, you have to be okay with going out there and saying, so again, do you know yourself? Did he know he was even like that? You know what I mean? Right. Like maybe watching it, he's going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe that's me. Right. But then at least he has an opportunity. Now, we thought the same thing of the guy on Love is Blind. Like we just thought, okay, once he sees himself, he'll realize what an asshole he is and he'll change. But then you see him on the reunion show and he's even worse. Right.
Well, I think the interesting part about the Love is Blind, and if you haven't seen it, the premise of the show, we've talked about it before. The premise of the show is they don't see each other. And unfortunately, they had a really great emotional connection. And throughout sort of the second part of the show, which was when they were together at a resort and they were together with their families and stuff like that, he constantly kept saying how not physically attractive the person was and how he was not. But what was interesting on the reunion is that they said that it was the editing.
Right.
That they said that what people saw on the TV show was a watered down version.
Right. Which is very scary.
Very scary, because I thought it was the opposite.
Yeah.
I thought they were highlighting that. but actually they were downplaying it and watering it down because all of the other people were saying, well, the private conversations that we had, you were saying much worse things.
Wow.
So like, interesting how the show edits. So you do have to be careful because there's a lot of post-production that goes into those shows.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting from that perspective. So
yeah. So, but I think that's why you get, when you're listening, most podcasts, I mean, you produce podcasts, most of them are not edited. You edit like for noise, like, you know, or or whatever. You edit for like little sound
bites. I don't edit, but I will not take out content.
Right. So, but that's, most people don't. So, which means that when you listen to podcasts, you're getting the true flavor of who that person is and their thoughts and their feelings.
And I think that's important.
It's very important. So none of our stuff, as you can see, is ever edited.
Not for content. And I only had one client who wanted me to edit for content. So they kept pushing me, and it actually got to be a little bit uncomfortable to the point that I actually had to stop working with them because they kept pushing me to edit content. They were like, well, if you don't like the way that this conversation went, or if you don't think that this flows well, or if you don't like what I say here, take it out. And I'm like, that is firmly not what I do.
No, you're not an editor.
Well, yes. So there's a line there, right? Yeah. And when people think of the post-production and producing an episode, they think of that I'm going to go through all of the content in the show. And they also thought that I would then move conversations around. So say this at the hour mark and bring it more towards the beginning because it flowed better. And I'm like, do you have any idea how awful that would sound?
Yeah.
Like if I took this part of our conversation and I moved it to the beginning of the video or the audio or whatever, and it would be such a disjointed conversation because it would be like, we are going to have conversation like this. And then we're going to change and have a topic about this. And then, it would be very robotic, and conversations don't happen like that. No. They flow into one topic, into another. So there's no cutting point. And I'm a firm believer in natural, conversations, how they flow. I'm not going to sit there and say, yeah, I didn't really like the fact that your guest said this, so I cut it out. How do you think that guest is going to feel when they felt very passionate about that particular topic? Like, I'm not going to edit out content. I'm going to watch how the conversation flows. Now, will I edit out if somebody says, so anyway, like I said, but like I was saying before, yes, of course I'm going to cut all of that out because it's a lot of unnecessary words, but it doesn't include content because the conversation flows. Right.
Like if you don't like what was said, then don't air that episode.
Right. And that is up to the host to make that choice.
It's not your job. It's you don't monitor what they, they have to decide if they think it's a good representation of their show, not you.
Right.
And if you're
I've disagreed. I've been in situations where I sent a note to the host and said, I don't believe what they were saying is a good, like the way the conversation flowed and stuff like that. Do you want to air this episode? And they said yes, because I'm going to position it as they say and believe the exact opposite. Great, because I don't know that side.
Yeah. And you have to be really careful because editing, I mean, we've both had people edit or rewrite content that was ours, and it all of a sudden it doesn't become your voice. So what you necessarily hear might not necessarily be the host's interpretation. So it's not cool to edit. And I've had one person edit my story, and I hated it. It did not sound like me. She used a quote that I would never use in a million years. I would never use this quote. It had nothing to do with my situation. But you know what? At the end of the day, my fault for allowing them, because I thought they were a good editor. So I allowed them to edit, which was a big mistake in the long run because I realized that it just wasn't who I was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and very interesting. So before we go, just my last, I just want to rant just for a couple of minutes, just speaking of audio. Because I sent you a text the other day. Oh my goodness. So I don't know. if you've seen things on Facebook where they'll say, here's how to communicate with me, right? Number 1, text, 2, email, 3, messenger, and you go all the way and it goes dot, 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 and it's like 98 smoke signals,
yes,
99 courier pigeon, and then 100 is voicemail. Right. So that's me to a T.
Me too.
Don't leave me a voicemail. Probably won't get it.
Me too.
So what we've come to is that every app, every mode of communication, whether it's Instagram direct message, Facebook direct message, texting apps, et cetera, all have the opportunity to record a voice note.
Yes.
Or an audio message. Like Voxer, as an example, you can type and text through Voxer, or you can click and record a voice note or an audio message.
Right.
Increase in usage of the audio messages is probably pushing me over the edge because I feel like it's a voicemail.
Right. Because it's easier and lazier.
Well, and I understand that, there's too much to text. So I'll tell you, if you can speak very succinctly.
Exactly.
And very specifically in 3 or 4 sentences, what you want, great. The problem is when people ramble and they say, okay, so I just wanted to leave you this quick message. Just wondering if you could do this. It was quicker to record this than it was to text, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, so just to recap and then just to recap and then just to recap. And the problem is that I can read faster than I can listen.
Exactly.
So it takes me less time to scan your message for the important parts.
Yes.
And if I wait a minute, what does she want? Oh, okay. And I can read it once because you don't repeat it in a text. No. But you repeat it in an audio message. So there's an increase of usage of audio messages. Not loving.
And well, I think, audio messages could be great if you are, like you said, succinct. If you just say, here's what I need, 1, 2, 3, boom, done. Okay. Then you don't get mad, right? Because you're like, okay, but it's true. Somebody gets on audio. Hey, it's me. I just wanted to run some things. And it's just like, seriously, like I don't listen at all. Thank God on my phone, if somebody leaves me a voicemail, I have the text version. So I need
to set that up because I don't have that set
I
up.
never listen to a voicemail. And it always texts in. Sometimes it's not perfect, but I get the gist of the message. The other thing about leaving, just so you guys know, put that on your phone, your text voicemail, because when people leave you phone numbers, it shows up and you just click it. So you don't have to actually write it down or anything. So yesterday when somebody called me and it was important, I just scanned their voicemail and saw the number and clicked. I didn't even read their entire message because I just knew that I had to talk to them. So I clicked.
But you can pull out the important pieces.
Right. You don't have to.
You're right. With an audio message, it's like a voicemail. Hi, it's me, just calling, la 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 la, and it's a 2-minute message when it could have been a 2-sentence text. So,
and the other is, it's interesting too, is because I don't use audio, but I do when I'm driving. I have Siri text back, so I have CarPlay on my car, and Stacy will leave me a message, and I click it, and Siri reads it to me.
Mm-hmm.
She reads me your text, so I know it's short because it's a text. And then she'll say, do you want to reply? And I just reply, yes, you know that, or no. But it's because I know enough not to ramble, right? But don't go now, pick up your phone and go, hey, Siri, send a message and talk for 4 hours. That's not the idea.
Well, but that's the difference, is that when you're doing voice to text, I don't know about you, but I'm very specific in regards to thinking about how they're reading it.
Right.
So I talk differently when it's talk to text than I would in a voice message.
Yeah.
So I like voice to text. I know when you send them.
I think we just, I know, because you always know. And Siri sometimes gets the spelling wrong. Actually, she's probably better at spelling than me, to be honest.
She's good.
But I love it because, I don't want to look at my phone. I would like to answer somebody because I like to, when I'm driving, not be on my phone, right? But when you have the ability to just go back and forth, it's easy. But I think we need to do a course that teaches people how to be their succinct with their messages, right? And if they did, then you wouldn't have a problem with audio messages.
Because it would be a 10-second message versus a 2-minute message.
Exactly, with the same information, right? But
well,
that's exactly
doesn't help with multitasking.
Yeah.
Because I have to stop what I'm doing.
Yep.
And I now have to listen to this message for 2 minutes when if a text comes through, I can quickly scan, read.
Yep.
Respond. I'm not stopping what I'm doing. I could probably do that while I was live here.
Exactly.
But anyway, that's my 2 cents for the day.
Little tips for you guys so that you know when you're sending audio that most people don't want it. So the only person that I allow to leave me voicemails really is my mom, because that's the only technology she knows. So I'm cool with it. She has an old senior flip phone, right? So she doesn't really text. She doesn't know what the internet is. There you go. They're coming back though, right? Did you see the
phone today? So I was trying to explain to my kids how cool it was to do this and then go, yeah. We thought we were cool.
But they are. The flip phones are coming back. I saw a lot, but the new flip phones have like full keyboards, not like the old stupid keyboards to figure out a text on.
Well, I was trying to, he goes, how did you text? I don't know if you can see this, but we had to do, but all by numbers, like for it was, hit this 3 times and stuff like that. And he goes, oh my God, it must have taken you forever. I'm like, that's why it was like text concepts were very short.
Very short, which was a blessing, right? It was, it was great. So those are things to keep in mind for you guys. So
send me smoke signals before leaving me a voice message.
Exactly. And if you really come take the speaking course, the speaking accelerator in GIA, and then you'll learn how to get your messages really short as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, you guys have a good week, and we will see you next time.
Bye.